On the cutting edge of anomaly research, you are about to experience The Evidence with your host, 3D pioneer and image analyst with Mars X3D, E.W. Gannett.
Well, hi there, and welcome to episode 119 of The Evidence. This is your buddy Dave over at Mars X3D, and I'd like to always remind you, this is an X3D channel. There are links below to learn how to view X3D. Super easy. If you've got normal 3D vision, you can do X3D. You don't have to buy expensive equipment or look at little tiny parallels, postage stamps, or any of that stuff. You can see great big clear and beautiful X3D images in full 3D stereo. Easy to do. Check it out. There's a howdy and how-to video linked below, and you can learn in just a few minutes, just like over 2,000 weirdos have done on this channel already, including yours truly. Anyway, we have some interesting things coming up this week, and before I get to that, let's introduce our newest proud weirdo, first class, Tony DeVerne. Thank you, Tony, for being part of the active membership of this channel. If you want to help support this work, just click on the join button below. No obligation. You can check it out. And hey, if you decide not to, I love you anyway. Thanks for being here. And we have stuff by myself and by the elite anomaly hunter, Rami Bar Ilan. And who else was there? Well, I don't know. I guess we'll just have to jump in and see. We're going to start today with an image from Gary Legier, the Martian Revelation on Facebook. And I recently did an interview with him on his show. And he wanted me to do a 3D rendering of his 2D rendering of the face on Mars. So that's what this is. And obviously it's false 3D in the sense that a stereo camera didn't take it. But there's been a careful study of light and shadow to render the 3D as accurately as possible. And it's clear to me anyway that this is still an artificial construct, no matter how much NASA would like you to believe otherwise. Lately, I've been going back to some of my earlier work and redoing the processing in the 3D. I downloaded the IMG and LBO files from the Analyst Notebook and processed them, and then went to work. We're focusing on the yellow target in this context view, and there's really not much to see until you get up close. This is my original 3D rendition of the find, and while it's not too bad for a freehand attempt over 4 years ago, there's a lot of things that are just wrong for where I'm at now as a 3D weirdo. So I redid it, and this is what I got. This is a much more accurate representation of what's actually present, but it does beg a couple of questions. See those vertical JPEG artifacts on the rocks in the upper right background? And can you see the fainter ones in the foreground rocks? For that rocket-shaped object on the square pedestal in the foreground, are those just JPEG artifacts giving the appearance of it being a rocket with ringed sections on it? In fact, maybe these are just two slabs of rock that happen to have the same upward tilt, and those JPEG artifacts just make them look like something artificial. But then if you're going to ask that question, you also got to ask this one. How come the rings or stripes are perpendicular to the cylindrical shape of the rocket? And how come the square's stripes are perpendicular to its edge? Maybe there's something I just don't understand here, but Shouldn't all the JPEG artifacts be arranged in the same direction throughout the image? I'm going to leave this one hanging for now. Here's another one I went back to and worked on from Neville Thompson's GPen of Curiosity 710. This one's easy to see inside the green target. Two blocks that really stand out from their surroundings. Here's the old close-up I did with the arrow pointing out the square indentation on the block in back. Anyway, once again, this isn't too bad for a freehand attempt at 3D, but, there's still a lot wrong with it. Here's the newer version with all the parallax problems resolved. Let's do a quick inventory. The block in back is evenly curved, quite symmetrical with any number of 90-degree angles, and then you have that square on top and the rectangle on the bottom, separated by that scoop out of the middle, which, by the way, has a lip around it. And don't forget those little toes sticking out of the bottom, like they were there to stabilize the base. Then the block in front looks like a capsized capstone turned upside down in the sand. You yourself can see the 90-degree angles, the cutouts, and even the square opening in the shadow. These two blocks may well have fallen off the cliff above them, but they're not part of the natural rock. Here's a strange chunk of rock Rami shared from Curiosity 1432. Let your eyes play over it and notice all the out-of-place angles and symmetries. Be sure to check out Rami's website for more of his amazing finds and terrific artwork. Here's another one pointed out by Rami from Percy 203. This one was shot with the stereo Z-cam, which always makes my job a lot easier. The purple arrow points out what might be a wall in front, and the magenta arrow is pointing at that strange overhang in the background. And here's one thing you should know about the citation link for this one. It goes to the NASA website, and as far as I know, there's no longer a way to link directly to the image involved. Maybe one of you is more hip to that situation than I am, but the deal is you gotta enter the SOL number and the camera in the search field, then search through the images to find the one that matches. Yep, our tax dollars at work once again. Anyway, for once we have a good, clear image with lots of sunlight close by and good detail. This really does look like a wall to me. Those rocks on the bottom, they're so squared off and perfect, it's hard to imagine a natural process making that happen. The boulder on top has a trapezoidal end in the shade. It fits perfectly on top of the wall blocks, and it even seems to have kind of a 45-degree bevel on the sunlit side. Having been subjected to millennia of thermal erosion and wind-driven sand, it still seems to have weathered the passage of time relatively intact. And really, what's up with this thing? Sure, it could be a stone that had softer rock or sand worn away beneath it, but it sure seems to be anchored pretty good since it shows no sign of tipping over. Let's wrap things up with another one Rami shared just last week. This is from Percy 341, and how can you not see that strange ball in the center with, what looks like a wrench poking out of it? And that ball sure reminds me of fossilized coral. What do you think? The strange thing is that I found something like it last year. This not only has what looks like a wrench sticking out the bottom, but has a very clear crosspiece embedded within it. The entire piece looks like a lump of melted and fused metal. Here's another one with what might be a crescent wrench sticking out from underneath. Or maybe you'd prefer a pipe wrench instead. How about a rather bent and twisted crowbar? Or this longtime classic, what many have called a spanner wrench, or an eel, or any number of other things. Maybe everything we just looked at are nothing but very strange erosion, which apparently isn't rare at all on the surface of Mars. But if even one of the things we've found is a genuine artifact, wouldn't that change the way people think, if only a little? I sure appreciate you stopping by and spending part of your busy day with me. I'm quite honored by that. Thank you. You know, if you saw something you liked, it would really help out if you hit the like icon, and that's how YouTube does their sorting and listing and that type of thing, and that helps me out, and so does the join link if you feel so moved, but not that big a deal. It's just there if you feel like you're moved to do it. Anyway, we're working hard on a tutorial to teach you how to do what I do. It's easier than you might think. So be looking for that in the next week or two. So to all you proud weirdos out there, you know who you are. Stay safe and stay weird. This is your buddy Dave over at Mars X3D. Be well.